Hello and welcome. You are here at Compassionate Communication Heals Relationships, how you can start over in 2025. And whether you're here for yourself or your clients, I'm glad you're here. So welcome. So let's take a breath and bring ourselves present, because I know there's a lot of places that you could be, a lot of things that you could be doing. And I'm honored that you've spent a few minutes with me. And I am hoping that wherever you're here, whether it's for your own relationship or whether you help individuals or couples or families in conflict, that you are going to get something out of this session today, going to give you the benefit of my 35 years of experience. My name is Linda Kroll, and for 35 years, I've been an internal family systems therapist, mediator, attorney, Chopra certified teacher of meditation, yoga, and Ayurveda. And it's been my life's mission to help them be compassionate with themselves and each other. I've created online programs. I work individually, marriage counseling, divorce mediation. But today I want to give you some tips you can take with you after these 30 minutes and make a change in one of your relationships that is causing you stress right now. So let's take a breath and think about someone with whom you're having conflict. What compassionate communication would be. If you're here because you have conflict with a partner or a parent or a child or a coworker or a friend, whatever is causing you conflict is affecting what you think and what you feel and what you do. When you learn the skills of compassionate communication, you're going to be able to make changes. And the 4 steps of compassionate communication are: connect to your best self. We'll talk about what self means. Let go of your limiting beliefs and judgments, whatever those are about yourself or someone else. Unburden pain from the past and relate from your heart. So you connect to your best self, let go of your limiting beliefs and judgments, unburden pain from the past, and relate from your heart. So if you were coming to my office as a client, I would do a very brief intake interview. And if you're a therapist or coach or mediator or attorney who wants to learn some of this for your own benefit, then I'd like to share with you how I use these skills and how I can also offer them to you. So what I'm going to be doing in the next 30 minutes is offering you ways to connect with me, some free resources, and some actionable tips now. So pretend you just came in to see me for the first time. You're having some relationship issues, and in those relationship issues, you are feeling stress, of course. So I interview you for about 10 minutes, and here's what I'll ask. So play along with me. So let's say you came to see me for counseling, mediation, or spiritual growth, and I ask you, how can I help? So how can I help? Who is someone with whom you're having conflict? Who is someone with whom you'd like to change the old patterns of behavior, where you either get angry or judgmental or blaming or withholding or hurt or sad or scared, and you don't do anything with it because you don't have the tools? So you would tell me with whom you're having a problem: partner, child, parent, coworker. And I would ask you these questions. What do they do that bothers you? What are their behaviors that cause you stress? Do they criticize? Do they avoid you? Do you feel like you're abandoned in the relationship? What are their actions or inactions that are causing you stress? And then what do you do in response? Do you yell? Do you withhold? Do you judge? Do you eat too much, drink too much? What do you do to cope with the feelings that you're feeling? And then I'll ask you to tell me what your thoughts are about that person. He always does this, she never does that. What are you thinking? What are your judgments? And they may be judgments about you. You may judge yourself as defective in some way because you've stayed so long in a relationship. You might judge yourself as not worthy of a better relationship. So let's take a look at what you're choosing to believe. And then I ask you about your family of origin. So I'll ask you some questions about your family of origin. What was your mother like? What was your father like? Where are you in the sibling order? Are you the first? Are you the middle? Are you the last of many? Because your birth order plays a role on the roles you were taught. And then I'll ask you about the family of origin, about the person with whom you're having conflict. What was their family of origin like? What did they learn? What were the secrets? Was there any addiction in either of your families? Because the more you look at your family of origin, the more you'll understand how you became the person you are and how you chose the actions that you chose to pursue in your relationship. And then I'll ask you how you feel, because there's one thing about how we think and what we do, but we don't always get to the feelings. And in internal family systems, which is a therapy I practiced for over 35 years, having studied with Dick Schwartz and the IFS Institute, we talk about connecting to your best self as being a situation where you feel calm, clear, connected, compassionate, courageous, confident, but we don't always feel in self. Instead, we have parts in internal family systems, parts that we exile, parts that we manage with, and parts that we get extreme with. For instance, when you are dealing with the person with whom you're having conflict, do you exile your feelings of fear or sadness or hurt? Do you not want to talk about it? Maybe it wasn't safe to talk about in your family of origin. Maybe the person with whom you're having conflict doesn't know how to listen or give you empathy. So instead, you push aside those vulnerable feelings because it's not safe to speak for them. And then you go out in the world and you manage. And many of you may manage by being nice or pleasing or caretaking or hardworking. There's a lot of different ways to manage. But many times we manage by putting on what's called a pseudo self, where you look like you're in self, but you're really feeling those hurt, sad, scared feelings underneath that you're not talking about. And if you grew up in a family where codependence was fostered, in other words, where there was addiction, mental illness, maybe you were the gifted child and had to learn how to take care of everybody else. You manage by taking care of everybody else. But inside, you're feeling sad, hurt, scared, and sometimes angry. But we don't talk about that either. Some people manage by being angry, but a lot of us codependents don't even talk about our anger. So we exile certain feelings that are vulnerable. We manage in ways that show the world that we're, quote, fine, but we're not really fine. We're feeling a lot of these feelings underneath. So when we can't manage those exiled feelings of hurt, sadness, fear, pain, we do extreme behaviors. So some of us eat too much, drink too much, exercise too much, shop too much. Some people go have an affair, get enraged, get depressed, decide to get divorced. And you can get divorced, but you don't have to do it from an extreme part, because that leads to chaos and retribution and anger, and we don't want that. So all of your parts, the parts that are extreme, the parts that you manage with, and the parts that you exile are all there to help you. But what we do in compassionate communication and in the process of compassionate mediation that I've created is we help ourselves get to self, and we help our clients get to self. And then the fourth step of compassionate communication is to relate from your heart. So as I'm doing my intake interview with you in the first 15 minutes that we're together, I'm listening for what are the parts of your partner or the person with whom you're having conflict. What are they doing? How do you react? How do you manage? What do you do when you really get upset? What do they do? And how can we take a breath and meditate and then begin to see that we have a different way of being that allows us to be more present in self? So when I talk about self, I'm talking about an ability to be calm when there's chaos around you, clear about your role in bringing peace, because it only takes one. If you learn these skills and no one else does, you're going to bring more self-energy. You can be compassionate to all the people around you and know that they're doing the best they know how, considering their level of awareness, their family of origin, what they've been taught along the years. And you become more confident in your ability to be of service to your clients, confident to be of service to your relationship, and even confident in your ability to be of service to your higher self, because you are connected to your higher self. You're courageous when there's conflict. You're creative to reach a resolution, and you're curious about others and their needs. And when you do that, when you bring that self-energy in, what you're doing is you're bringing in peace. You're bringing in higher consciousness. You're bringing in a new way of relating to a conflict that doesn't have to be fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Fawn was one I learned recently. It's when somebody is in conflict with us and we get nervous, and instead what we do is we really try to be nice, and we exile the parts that are angry, sad, scared, and we try to manage with all those pleasing, caretaking parts we know how to practice, but we're really not speaking our truth. So compassionate communication starts with loving yourself, because as I always say, love is the answer, but it starts with loving yourself. And when you love yourself, you're able to talk about your parts in a way that can resolve conflict, because you're going to understand, as Thich Nhat Hanh says, to resolve conflicting parties, you have to understand the suffering of both sides. And as practitioners, we can't take sides, but we can help each party recognize that underneath the ways that are managing and coping, that they are really doing the best they can to show up. But we can help them show up in their higher self when we help them recognize that they are both suffering, and they can have more compassion and empathy for each other. Because when they do that, miracles happen. And what I mean by miracles is you become a miracle worker. I do all this in my first session. So to learn more about it, I do have a certification process for professionals that I'll tell you more. And I have a compassionate communication course that's starting soon that has me work with you for 4 weeks to help you practice what I'm going to teach you now. All right, so let's take a breath and go back to step 1. Remember the 4 steps of compassionate communication. Connect to your best self, let go of your limiting beliefs and judgments, unburden pain from the past, and relate from your heart. So how do you do that? How do you connect to your best self? You can meditate. You can take a breath, sometimes just taking a belly breath. In fact, do it with me now. Inhale, abdomen out. Exhale, belly button back to your spine. A couple more times. Just inhale, abdomen out. Exhale, belly button back to your spine. One more time. Inhale, abdomen out. Exhale, belly button back to your spine. In just that minute, you are more in touch, you are more embodied, and less in your mind, that cacophony of, I should do this, I want to do this, do I want to stay, do I like him or her, what's my judgment, am I picking up my dinner later, whatever you're thinking about. Quiets for just a moment when you take a breath, or even if you meditate, even if you take 2 minutes in the morning and just focus on your breath, and you short circuit the thinking mind. It often gets us into trouble because it has thoughts, judgments, and expectations, right? Leading to step 2, how to let go of all those limiting beliefs and judgments about the way things should be, about how you should be treated, your expectations. Someone once said that expectations are premeditated resentments. I love that. It's not my quote, but I love it. Expectations are premeditated resentments. So how can you show up more with a beginner's mind? How can you start over, even today, about a relationship that you're thinking about? How can you notice the thoughts that you're thinking and then what it does to your body? How do you notice the filters through which you're judging someone else or yourself? You could be judging them through the filter of, I don't like what they're doing. They need to change. I'm not sure if I want to stay or go. Whatever your judgment is, your filters can be changed. And notice that you've probably built walls around your heart because you've been hurt so long. You may not have had the empathy or the attention, affection, appreciation, and acceptance that you need. And instead, you've built walls. And from behind those walls, you think you're protecting yourself, but you're really keeping yourself from receiving anything, and even more important, from offering anything. So that someone looks at you with your walls and thinks, why bother? So having the courage to put your wall down takes a lot of higher self energy. It takes a lot of trust in your own divine wisdom, because we're human we're spiritual beings having a human experience. But in our human experience, we get triggered. We get triggered by our thoughts, by our feelings, by what other people say and do. But we can learn how to kind of put up our umbrella of self and notice that when someone is being rude or unkind, that it's a part of them, that can kind of fall off that umbrella and not take it in. And if you take it in, you take it in with the ability to speak about your feelings. You take it in with the ability to say, you know what, when you said that, that hurts. You don't need to change them because you can't, but you can change how you are responding. And you can learn how to speak for your parts instead of from your parts. So you don't have to eat too much, drink too much, watch too much TV, eat too much sugar, watch too many Facebook reels, whatever you use or I use to numb. And you don't have to manage by being codependent or nice or pleasing or turning the other cheek or walking on eggshells. And what you're going to learn to do when you connect to your best self is you look at those limiting beliefs and you can make a choice not to believe them. You can make a choice to come with a curious beginner's mind to this relationship that you're having a conflict with, and trust that you're both doing the best you know how to do, considering your level of awareness, considering your family of origin, and you can do better. But it takes even one of you to bring your higher self energy in. And today that could be you. And you can learn this to help your clients learn this in my certification program, which I'll tell you more about. So connect to your best self. Notice and be willing to let go of your limiting beliefs and judgments about yourself too. You're not stupid. You're not lazy. If you've got ADD, you've got your certain challenges, but we are doing the best we can, and appreciating and loving and accepting ourselves without recriminations, without judgments, allows us to start over for ourselves as well. So if I could right now flip a switch, wave a wand, and you would totally and completely forgive yourself for anything you have done or not done in the past, would you be willing to do it? And if not, why not? Because that's probably a burden from your past. So once you connect to your best self, let go of your limiting beliefs and judgments, you'll notice that you still have pain from your past. You still have situations in which somebody now does something and you react possibly more than you need to, because subconsciously it brings you back to a time in your childhood. Maybe your parents weren't able to give you the love and nurturing that you needed. Maybe in a prior relationship you were treated harshly. Maybe even in the relationship you're in, you have some burdens. But going back and doing that healing work, doing your own work to heal, let go of that energy is really important. And we do that in my compassionate communication course, which I'll tell you more about. So once you have connected to your best self, be willing to let go of your judgments and beliefs, unburden the pain from your past so that you can speak for your vulnerable part. You can speak for the parts of you that are sad or hurt and scared, because you're going to do it from your higher self. You're not going to speak from a part that's angry or resentful or judgmental. You're going to take a breath. You're going to ask the parts that would normally run interference to defend or judge or be angry. And you're going to say to someone who's going to learn how to hear it, and if they don't learn how to hear it, the relationship may end. But there's still a way to end relationships that are compassionate, to compassionately communicate. And that's what I do in my compassionate mediation process. So I wrote the book, Compassionate Mediation, How to Add Passion to Your Marriage or Compassion to Your Divorce. And if you go to lindakrollbook.com, you can get a free chapter where it explains everything I'm talking about in terms of self and parts. But the last part, connect to your best self, let go of your limiting beliefs, unburden pain from the past, is to relate from your heart. Take a deep breath with me here. Put your hand on your heart and give yourself compassion for everything that you've been feeling. It's a new year. It's a new beginning. You can start over. And if you choose to start over, I want to give you a few tools for starting over. So the first one is my spiritual graft, G-R-A-F-T. And what that means is that a lot of conflict, a lot of dysfunctional communication is because our egos are in the way. again, how we were brought up, what should happen, our expectations, our judgments, our need to be in control. So to help our ego that gets wounded when we don't get our needs met, we put on what I'm calling a spiritual graft, G-R-A-F-T. And here's what it stands for. The G is gratitude. Find something for which to be grateful. Even if you're in a relationship and you're not sure if you want to stay or go, even if you're in the middle of a divorce and having a lot of conflict, or past a divorce and you can't relate to your ex. Maybe you're dealing with an individual or couple that can't get unstuck and they're just wanting to tell you their stories. See if you can take a moment to be grateful. Grateful for everything, your health. If you've had a relationship, if you have children, if you have assets, find gratitude. It helps bring more self-energy in. The R-A in graft, G-R-A-F-T, is radical acceptance. Deep breath with me here. I used to think unconditional love was a barometer, but I think what's even more important is radical acceptance, meaning we come to a situation knowing that we can't change someone else, but we can change how we are responding. And when we have a higher level of consciousness, when we have more self-leadership, we solve a problem in a different level of consciousness than the problem was created. So we bring more conscious awareness and we're able to radically accept the situation as it is and then change what we can change about ourselves. And then when we do that, that changes the relationship. Or if not, it just brings you more peace. Because as they say in AA and Al-Anon, we are usually powerless in many situations, but we can let go and let God. And I found that there are many situations that are my table, the other party's table, and God's table. And when I stay at my own table and don't try to save the world and let go and let God, that helps with relationships, with addiction, with any situation where compassionate communication is needed. So be grateful, radically accept what is. The F in graft is forgiveness. Deep breath. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. And forgiveness starts with forgiving yourself. So I hope that you could take a breath, take a moment, and give yourself permission to totally and completely forgive yourself for anything you've done or not done from this point forward. Because you can use it to inform you as to the choices you want to make moving forward. And when you make choices that are self-led, instead of led by parts that are trying to manage or being extreme, they're much more peaceful and loving and kind and respectful. And then whatever you choose to do, whether to stay in the relationship and heal it, whether to leave it, becomes an act of grace because you've come from your higher self. Gratitude, radical acceptance, forgiveness, the T in graft is trust. And the trust is either trust your higher self, trust your therapist, trust me, trust in the angels all around you. Trust that if you don't react, but learn how to respond compassionately, connected to your best self, without your limiting beliefs and judgments, unburden pain from the past and relating from your heart, you're going to change the dynamics of any relationship that you have. So what I want you to do is just think for a minute and see how this is helping you. I see that there's been some issues with the video. I hope that's settled. But for those of you either listening live or listening to the replay, let's take a moment because I want to give you some ways that I can show you how to get some connection from what I'm telling you. So my roadmap is for people that want to learn a roadmap for healing their relationship. This roadmap is for any therapist, coach, mediator who wants to learn my process. It's a video process, a roadmap and video, short video of the outline of how to help people compassionately communicate, even if they're thinking of whether they should stay or go. Because when you do the work, you help them learn how to compassionately communicate. forgive and build a compassionate relationship, then explore their options, understand their rights and finances, and create a better relationship. So if you choose to do that, it puts us in touch and we can sign up for a brief chat because my certification is starting soon. The 6th cohort of my certification starts soon. And I've trained people around the world on bringing this process to wherever you are now, to wherever you'd like to be. So it's a small group. I only work with a small group at a time. I'm very selective about who gets in because you have to have a certain spiritual awareness and beginner's mind, because I'm sure we are all active professionals with many talents, but I have many things to offer you in templated form, videos, handouts, practical sessions, and I'd love to have you learn more about that. And then for those of you who would like to bring more of these skills to your life now, my next compassionate communication course is starting soon. And I work with you live for 4 weeks in a small group where I get to know you and we practice. What does it take to be in your higher self? Let's look at your limiting beliefs and judgments. What's the pain from your past? And then we do a session to unburden the pain from your past. And then we do a heart-centered connections meeting where you learn how to speak for your parts and share your vulnerability in ways that remind you how courageous you are to be able to do that. If you want a copy of my book, a free chapter of my book, go to lindacrawlbook.com, because there I'm going to offer you the feedback of what we've talked about a little bit, and then a way to learn more. And the last part is if you have a relationship that you'd like to just kind of look at the value of how you're showing up in it, get the relationship assessment. So I don't want to overload you with options, but I did want to give you an opportunity to find what you can and work with me in any way possible. So do we do it in 30 minutes? Yes, we have a few more minutes left over, because to review, you joined me today because you're interested in learning how to compassionately communicate, how to let go of the patterns that you may have with anyone in your life, a spouse, an ex-spouse, a partner, a child, a parent, a friend, a coworker, an employee. You can learn a new way to communicate. You can learn, even if they don't, how to bring higher self-energy, how to stop the repetitive thoughts that you have about yourself or them. So you show up with a beginner's mind, ready to start over. And you recognize that maybe you're triggered by something they are doing that reminds you of a time in your past where you were triggered, but you do your own work to go back and heal the past, to let go of all that energy, beliefs, judgments that you don't need to carry anymore. And then you relate from your heart, but you start with relating to your own heart, because wherever you are struggling, start with compassion for yourself. Communicate compassionately to the parts of you that are sad or hurt or scared or ambivalent. Let them know that you are there, your higher self is there. And I always ask my clients, even in the first session, what's their definition for spiritual? I'm not looking for religious. I'm looking for, do they believe in a higher power? Do they believe in a true self, the universe, nature, God, what's ever out there is what I want them to connect to, because that is your higher self. So for me, it's God. For some of my clients, it's inner self, nature. But when I'm coming from my higher self, I recognize that that's the energy in me, the calm, clear, compassionate, witnessing energy that can bring peace to any situation, first to myself and then to others. And if you're a professional, you need to know this process, because I know for me, as much as I love my clients, sometimes they can be triggering. Sometimes an angry client can remind me of how my father used to yell. And then I want to take sides with the quiet party instead of being neutral. So I have to do a lot of my own self work. And that's what I offer in the certification, because it really is about how to compassionately communicate with everyone in your life, and then how to teach these skills to your clients. And should some of your clients have conflict or not sure if they want to stay or go, I do give you the benefit of my legal information, my mediation, and I also have a program for those of you who may be struggling, not wanting to stay or go. And that's my compassionate mediation program. It's online. It's an evergreen program. You can go to compassionatemediationprogram.com. But what it is, you get 6 hours of videos of me talking to you about all of this. How to be your best self, love your parts, create a compassionate relationship, explore your options, understand your rights and finances, and create the relationship you truly desire and deserve. And that new relationship could be a new and better relationship with the person with whom you're having conflict, because you're going to show up from your higher self without your filters, without your judgment, without your walls, and be the loving beacon of light and channel of love that you are. So when your energy shifts, you're going to shift the energy in the relationship. And if you're on the fence about what to do about your relationship, my compassionate mediation program is a great place to start. Excuse me. So I said we take 30 minutes. We're just over it. You can reach me by direct messaging me. You can reach me by any of the links that I mentioned, lindakroll.com, roadmap, certify, RA. Oh, last one. I want to give you the benefit of my compassionate mediation care kit. Okay, so here we are. This is what it is. It's a, hold on, here we go. It's a care kit that has in it a lot of what we're talking about. So the guided meditation that's in the care kit is the guided meditation that I do in all of my sessions, where we actually have a felt sense of what being in self is, where we see our parts, but we separate, we go to the top of a mountain, and we send compassion to the person with whom we're having conflict. My relationship assessment is in there for you to check out how you're showing up in your relationship. The roadmap is there, and so many other things. So you can go to lindakroll.com/CCC and get on my mailing list and get things there. So again, so much I want to share. The benefit of my 35 years as an IFS therapist, mediator, attorney, Chopra certified teacher of meditation, yoga, and Ayurveda. And I want to give you that benefit. I am surprisingly going to be 78 years old. And there is a lot that I have learned along the way that I would love to share with you. So if you want, please join me in whatever way feels right. Connect with me and let me help you compassionately communicate with the people in your life. And if you're a professional, learn how compassionate communication and the compassionate mediation coaching certification can truly make you an expert in conflict resolution, increase your income, your impact, and make you part of a heart-centered community where professionals from different parts of the world are all working together to bring more peace. I always say families need not be broken, but can be peacefully and respectfully restructured. I want to help people restructure their families, learn how to be compassionate to themselves. And in this very chaotic world we're living in, we can all be the change we want to see. We can all bring peace to our own hearts, to our relationships, to our families, and the world. And with that, namaste. The light in me sees and appreciates the light in you. Thank you so much for joining me live or on the replay. I'm sending so much love. Please connect with me in any way that feels right. And I look forward to staying connected. Thanks again. Bye for now.